So if you've played Master Duel recently, chances are you've probably come across this screen at some point and thought to yourself, do I want to go first or second? Which is better? Does it even matter? Well, I'm telling you right now, it definitely makes a huge difference, and the purpose of this video is simply going to be to inform you guys, especially some of you newer players, on which choice you should be making. Now before I get into it, just a reminder that if you're enjoying any of the content you are watching or find any of it useful, to please drop a like on the video down below and consider subscribing to the channel whilst you're down there. I've been making a buttload of content on Master Duel and plan to continue doing so from now on, including free to play builds, meta stuff, memes, guides, basically everything. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Alright, so before we start deciding which is better for you, it's very important that you first properly understand how the coin flip works in Master Duel, as I see a lot of people, especially people coming from Duel Links, who think because a coin flip is involved, that it must mean a 50% chance of going first or second. This is dead wrong. This game is a best of one format, so only one game is played, and at the start of this game a coin is flipped before each duel is started. The winner of that coin toss then gets to decide if they want to go first or second. This mathematically means you will start your preferred choice a majority of your games. Let me briefly explain a bit further. So there are two outcomes. You win the toss or you lose the toss. If you win the toss, which happens 50% of the time, you will 100% of the time select your preference. If you lose the toss, your opponent will then make the choice, and sometimes this will be first, or sometimes it will be second. But no matter what percentage value this is, whether it be a 60-40 in favour of first, or a 90-10 favour of second, it doesn't matter, as there will always be a chance they select the option that favours you, and that chance is just added onto your already guaranteed 50% chance from winning the toss, so no matter what happens, you'll be preferred choice a majority of your games. So why does this matter? Well, in my opinion, there are two major factors that influence whether or not you want to go first or second. The first, and probably the main reason, is the art type you are playing, which I'll talk about in just a bit. But the other major factor that I feel a lot of people tend to look over is the tech cards you are running. For example, if you're playing a deck and you're running cards like Lightning Vortex, Raigeki, Harpy's Feather Duster, cards that rely on your opponent to already have stuff on board, they're just completely worthless going first, because your opponent has nothing on board, so there's nothing to remove. So you should probably be trying to go second most of your games. But on the flip side, cards like Solemn Judgment, Vanity's Emptiness, or Limit Break are pretty damn useless going second if your opponent already has developed a massive board, since these cards aim to stop your opponent developing stuff. Now remember, this is a best of one format, where the majority of your games will be going one way or the other, due to how the coin toss works. So your deck should reflect this for the most part. If you're running a shit ton of tech cards that rely on your opponent already having stuff on board, you should be choosing to go second most of your games. If you're not choosing to go second, then why are you running these cards, as a majority of the time, they will just be unusable. The same kind of premise goes for running a bunch of disruption trap cards and choosing to go first. If you're running these cards and going second, you're just gimping yourself. Now then, the most important factor. Which art type are you running? Now honestly, this is going to sound really straightforward, but similar logic that applies to tech cards kind of just applies here as well, and it's generally based on, are you trying to disrupt, or are you trying to kill? So for this example, we're going to use 3 deck types. Now keep in mind these are some pretty extreme generalizations, and there are tons of other deck types in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Tower, Hand Loop, Grind, etc. But generally these are the most popular, and let's just keep it simple for the sake of the example. Number 1. Build a board. These decks either aim to create a massive board state of multiple disruption monsters, or just one big disruption monster and then maybe a few little ones next to it, then proceed to try their best to make sure your opponent just cannot play the game through multiple negates. Decks like Drytron or Lyrilisk, Tri Brigade would generally fit into this category. Number 2. Ooga Booga OTK. These decks generally don't really have much disruption in their kits, but what they lack in disruption, they make up for in just raw power. So they try to make massive monsters, or summon a buttload of monsters, with the intent to end the opponent's life on that turn. A deck like Hero or Grand Maju would generally fit into this category. Number 3. Cancer. These decks are generally pretty control orientated, and most rely pretty heavily on trap cards to provide the same kind of disruption that Build a Board does, but to less of an extent. Generally, they get to set up a lot more consistently, as they never rely on any kind of combo that can be disrupted easily, or rely on any kind of particular one monster that when removed, their whole strategy just falls apart. They also tend to grind games for a lot longer, since it takes a while for them to actually finish the job with low monster counts in the deck. Good examples of this would be True Draco or Eldritch. So if your deck sounds like it fits into category number 1, you are a disruption deck, so you should be aiming to go first, as disruption is pretty useless if there is nothing to actually disrupt, because they've already just comboed off. If your deck sounds like it fits into category number 2, you are a kill deck, so you should definitely be aiming to go second, as going first with very little disruption options will just result in your opponent just arse blasting you and whatever board state you try to create. Not to mention, you can't actually kill your opponent going first, as there isn't even a battle phase, and your whole point is to try to kill your opponent quickly. If your deck sounds like it fits into category number 3, again, you are a disruption deck, so you should definitely be aiming to go first, as again, disruption is useless without anything to disrupt. Now even if your deck doesn't fit into any of these categories, you should kinda see the point. If your deck focuses mostly on trying to disrupt your opponent, you should go first to try and disrupt them, and try to run tech cards that capitalize on that strategy. But if your deck focuses more on trying to kill your opponent with raw power, you should try to go second, and try to run tech cards that again, help you achieve that strategy. The only deck types that I can think of off the top of my head that don't really follow this guideline are decks that either have some kind of strange FTK strategy or try to discard your opponent's entire hand, which are obviously both turn 1 decks. One of them your opponent actually has to have a hand to use, and the other it's literally in the name. Or decks that want to just create a near invincible boss monster that your opponent will struggle to remove, and in that case, again, you probably just want to go first, as it's the time your opponent has the least disruption on board. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's little guide video. I hope you guys enjoyed it or found it somewhat useful. If you did, or want me to make more guide related content, make sure to leave a like down below, and consider subscribing to the channel whilst you're down there. Thank you guys for watching, laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.